All right. We are in business. All right, lengthening through the crown of the head. Go and take those shoulders up towards the ears, pinch shoulder blades together, then punch your knuckles down by your side like you've got real heavy grocery bags in each arm. Establishing that shoulder pack, you should feel that lat engagement, that muscle on the outside of the shoulder blade there. And then this upper arm, we're gonna want it pinched against the rib cage there, as if you had a $100 bill and I'm trying to come take it away. You're not letting me take it. This order position or this shoulder pack position will be important as we get into some of our mace and club movements a bit later. So just taking note of what this feels like to have those shoulders packing down away from the ears. Let's go ahead and bring arms out to a T coming into shoulder screws. Shrug your left shoulder up towards your ear and internally rotate while externally rotating through the right shoulder, bringing gaze over the right hand, then unwind. Take the right shoulder up towards the ear, internally rotate, kind of wringing your chest out like a towel here as arms rotate in opposite directions and unwind. Option to add a bit of a diagonal squat, sinking your hips back at about a 45-degree angle, opposite direction from your gaze. And see if you could pinch your shoulder blades together, creating as much length across the chest as you possibly can. And just take this moment to explore how the shoulders are feeling. Maybe there's some cracks and pops in there. Maybe one side you're just kind of having a hard time getting that rotational engagement. And see if we can create a deep mind muscle connection, really diving into the shoulder there and seeing if you could squeeze out that last little bit of rotation, not quite forcing anything, not pushing through any points of pain, but seeing how we can make each rep maybe slightly different than the last, exploring any areas that might be a little dormant, we haven't paid much attention to, just bringing a little bit of awareness to those areas. I invite you to maybe keep the lips sealed for this duration of the warm-up, channeling some deep, intentional nostril breathing. Might be feeling some heat building here. This could be an exercise in its own, these shoulder screws. Once you're feeling ready, go ahead, shake it on out, get nice and loose. Let's have you circle sweep arms up overhead, gaze towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to prayer, forward fold. Take a moment to straighten through opposite legs, creating length in opposite hamstrings, a bit of an elephant walk, what this one's called here. And don't need to hyperextend your knee per se, but trying to create nice straight legs, then taking a nice deep bend in the opposite side. Should feel juicy through the backside of the thighs. Then go ahead and take a nice deep bend in both knees and let your chest weigh heavy. Let your head hang for just a moment. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back. High to low plank, option to drop the knees. Keep the elbows screwed in towards the ribs as you lower the belly all the way to the mat. Inhale, baby cobra, lift the chest, engaging the muscles along the spine. Exhale, down. Inhale, press your hips all the way back to child's pose. Hips meet the heels. Head rest right on the mat. Take a moment to ground down and connect to your breath. Maybe setting an intention for today's practice. Another big inhale. Exhale, thread your right arm underneath the right armpit, coming in to thread the needle. Right shoulder and right ear rest heavy on the mat as you stay for a round of breath. Play with shifting the hips to the right to deepen the stretch. Inhale, return to neutral child's pose. Exhale, thread the left arm underneath the right armpit. Stay for a round of breath here, maybe noticing differences between the two sides. Then continue to alternate back and forth at your own pace, syncing movement with breath. Inhale as you return to neutral. Exhale as you stretch. And see if you could create that deep mind muscle connection into the mid back, maybe the deep inner core. As you facilitate this movement from the mid back, we're not just putting that arm through and then cranking ourselves into a spinal twist. Rather, you're actively controlling yourself as you try to reach those fingertips maybe just a tad further with each repetition. Go ahead, stay for one more round on each side until you're even. Finishing with that left arm threading through, then meeting in child's pose, tuck the toes. Pretending like you're a frog, go ahead and pounce with that right leg to the outside of that right hand, meeting in a low lunge. Option to keep the back knee grounded or coming onto the ball of that back foot. Send the right leg back to active child's pose. On the exhale, step the left leg forward, finding either variation, knee on the ground or knee lifted. Continue to alternate back and forth, matching movement with your own breath, and see if you could pounce out of that child's pose, kind of like a frog or a puma, leaping forward. But also see if you could land with control, land with some grace as you surge that foot forward. Excellent work. And if we're lifting that back knee, think about nice straight leg and driving that heel behind you, reaching thighs in opposite directions. Then we'll meet with the right foot forward. Inhale, arms circle sweep, come up overhead. Exhale, hands to prayer. Coming into lateral bend, we'll inhale, arms come up overhead. Right hand grabs the left wrist. Find a gentle side body stretch to the left side body. Inhale back to neutral. Then continue to move at your own pace. If you need a little more balance, you can kind of widen out that front foot. That might feel a little more stable there. And then instead of just dumping into this right side, think about creating length through that left side body, really lifting that left lower rib up off the hip bone. Continue to move for another rep or two. Slow and controlled, or maybe picking up the pace if you're looking to build a little more heat. Then last rep, we'll meet back in neutral on the inhale. Exhale, hands frame inside the foot. Tuck the toes as you send it back to active child's pose. Then exhale, surge the left foot to the outside of the left hand. Inhale, arms circle sweep up overhead. Exhale, hands to prayer. Inhale, arms extend up. Left hand grabs the right wrist. Exhale, find that lateral bend to the left. Continue to move back and forth, matching movement with your own breath here. I don't know where our music went. There we go. Continuing to move with intention and control, never moving faster than your attention allows. If it feels like you're trying to catch up to the movement in your mind, then maybe we need to just slow it down a little bit. Never pushing through any pain, maybe noticing some slight discomfort, but recognizing the difference between discomfort and pain. We'll stay for one more rep here. Then we'll meet arms overhead on the inhale. Exhale, hands frame inside the foot. Send it back to active child's pose. Hips float up near the heels. Then on the exhale, send the tiger up high to the sky, downward facing dog. Ground down through the base of your thumb, index, and pinky finger. Really press the hands into the earth as your chest reaches towards your thighs. Tailbone high towards the sky. Option to pedal out opposite feet if that's calling to you. Then taking a moment to ground down through both heels. Big inhale. An option to sigh it out if you're looking to release heat. Maybe staying for another audible exhale. Then inhale, high up onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, step, hopper, float, front of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, circle, sweep arms, come all the way up overhead. Exhale, hands to prayer, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, plant the hands, step it back, high to low plank, take your vinyasa. Option to drop the knees as you lower the belly. Inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, right leg comes up high, three-legged dog. Exhale, step the right foot between the palms. Back foot spirals down at a 45-degree angle. Inhale, rise on up, warrior one. Keeping feet on opposite railroad tracks, we don't necessarily want them in a straight line. Rather, you want a little bit of a wider base. That might even help you shift your hips and shoulders to face square in front of you there. Then actively grounding through that outer edge of that left foot, while simultaneously sinking deep into that right knee. Big inhale, just looks comfortable there. Exhale, hands forward, hands frame the foot, step it back, high to low plank, take your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward dog on the exhale. Inhale, left leg comes up high. Exhale, step the left foot between the palms. Back foot spirals down. Inhale, rise on up, warrior one. Think about pinky spiraling in towards your midline, reaching for the ceiling while simultaneously shrugging your shoulders down away from the ears, establishing that shoulder pack. Sink deep into that left knee. Big inhale. Exhale, hinge forward. Step it back. Take your vinyasa. Meet in downward dog on the exhale. Inhale, high onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Inhale, step, hopper, float, front of the mat, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, chair pose, arms circle sweep up overhead as the hips hinge back. Option to keep feet shoulder width apart. And you kind of heel toe those feet together, pinching thighs in towards one another. Again, actively reaching for the ceiling while shrugging shoulders down towards the back body. Big inhale. Exhale, arms circle sleeve down by your side. Whew. Excellent work, everybody. Hope you got a little heat built up there. We're going to get into some work with the tools. So grab your mace or your club in a spine intelligent way, hinging at the hips. Our first movement will be front swing. So let's all go ahead and meet with the mace in your left hand. I'm going to mirror you here. Let's bring the mace just out in front. We'll draw it back with a nice hip hinge so that the mace is about a foot or so behind your left side. If we want to use the club here, let's go ahead and just start it. Let's actually all go ahead and start in this order position. This will make it a little bit easier for coaching. So yeah, you can feel free to hold on to the club here, Maria. I think it might feel a little bit more controlled as well. So yeah, let's all go ahead and meet in this order where we glue the left elbow into the front of the rib there. We'll have about a 90-degree bend, and you want your tool to be slightly angled in towards the body. If it starts getting away from you, that's when it could get a little wobbly and out of control. We'll keep it right here. Now you're gonna cast away with a nice straight arm and get right into your front swings. This will look like a nice hip hinge, nice straight back, and we wanna squeeze the glutes on as you drive into the heels. Maybe finding a forceful exhale that. Then let's all go ahead and meet back in order position, bringing that left elbow into the rib. We'll pass the mace through prayer, bringing it into the right hand. Then again, think a nice straight arm. The tool is just an extension of your arm here. So trying to get the movement to be nice straight arm, letting the momentum of the tool pull you down into that hip hinge. Then try not to let your head crank back. Rather, just let your gaze come down to the ground in front of you, keeping a nice straight spine. So those are our front swings there. Everyone feeling solid with that? Nice. We'll get lots of chances to practice them. Our next movement we're going to add is our Warrior 3 RDL. Now, these we're going to do from prayer. I've typically taught them in an over-over grip, but today we're going to do it a little different. If you prefer the over-over, feel free to take that. But if you want to join me in prayer, it doesn't matter which hand's on top. Maria, go ahead and flip that tool upside down. That'll actually be your bottom there. Perfect. No worries, no worries. We'll go ahead and wring out the mace, kind of like you're wringing out a towel, elbows nice and wide. Let's come onto the ball of the left foot. So you're really putting about 80 to 90% of your weight onto that right leg. Then think about keeping a micro bend in this right knee as you hinge forward, nice straight back, sending the hips back in space. Then you'll stand up nice and tall. Level 1, we're staying right here, keeping that left foot on the ground. Level 2, option to maybe let that back foot lift. If that's calling to you, this turns it a bit more into a single leg balance exercise. But if we're really wanting to load that hamstring, staying right here at level 1's a great place to be. And I want you to imagine there's a rope on your tailbone and someone's pulling on that rope, yanking your hips back in space. Nice work. Let's all go ahead and swap sides. Go ahead and swap your grip. Opposite hand on top. Grounding down through the left foot will come onto the ball of the right. Same idea. Keep a slight bend in that right knee so we're not hyperextending it. And then just allow your chest to hinge forward. Thinking about someone being behind you with that rope, pulling your hips back in space, or maybe even envisioning there's a chair way back there and we're trying to reach our butt back to that chair. If you notice, my legs aren't coming forward over that foot. I'm just sending those hips directly back in space. Nice straight line through that left leg. Nice. And then go ahead and try to keep it right about here at prayer. And then think about almost like your back is a tabletop. We want to be able to come eat dinner off your back right there. Nice flat back. Excellent work. Jess is hungry. Yeah, so that's targeting the hamstring, and that's what we're going for. I'd say don't push it so much to the point where it feels maybe too painful or past, I'd say, a comfortable level, but it will be adding load to that hamstring, so there should be a bit of a sensation there. I just wouldn't push it past like about a 5 or 6 out of 10, if that makes sense. Nice. So you're feeling that in that backside of the thigh? Mm. Yeah. Just the left there? Yeah, so maybe being a little gentle on that left side, maybe just getting to that point where you feel a slight sensation and coming out of it. It doesn't necessarily need to be a deep hinge, just whatever gets that sensation going. What your movement will look like will look different than myself as well as people near you. So, yeah, just taking whatever your body needs here, maybe finding that single leg balance variation. Any questions on this one before we get into the next exercise? Awesome. Now we're gonna get into front swing to order. So we're gonna meet in this order position with the mace in the left hand. We're now gonna cast the front swing with a nice straight arm, but then pull it back to order with each rep. So you're gonna glue that elbow into the rib, that shoulder pack we talked about earlier where this upper arm's gluing into the ribs. You're finding that motion. And I kind of like to think about I'm planting a flag in the ground in front of me. I find that really helps me establish that elbow drive into the rib. So marrying that elbow to the rib, let it kiss there. Then thinking nice straight arm, almost like you're reaching out to grab something. Then that momentum of the tool is what's bringing you into that hip hinge. Nice. Looking really solid, everybody. Let's go ahead and swap sides. When you come to order, pass it to the right hand. Same idea. Maybe finding that power breath wherever it serves you. Nice straight arm as you cast that mace away. Then pulling that elbow right back into the rib. Looking really solid, everybody. Let you take one more rep on this side. Then any questions on this movement before we get on to the next? Awesome. So now we're going to add front swing with the Warrior 3 RDL. So it's a bit more of a dynamic RDL here. What this will look like is let's all meet with the mace in the left hand. Go ahead and come onto the ball of that left foot. That ball of the left foot will be in line with your right heel. This time you're going to keep a mostly straight right leg, slight bend, and you're going to cast away, letting that front swing bring you into this RDL. So coming onto the ball of the left foot, stay nice and straight through the right leg with a slight micro bend. We'll cast that mace away, nice straight arm as you send those hips back in space. Level 2, you could explore letting your legs sync up with that movement if that's calling to you. Get spicy. I'd say if we're doing that, make sure you're not opening up at the hip. You see how right there it kind of wanted to open up? Let's focus on keeping those hip bones facing down towards the ground, not letting those hips open up out to the side. If this is a new movement to you, There's a lot of really good work to be had by just keeping the ball of the left foot on the ground. But if you want to play around and explore, you have that level 2 option. Let's go ahead and swap sides. Bringing the mace into the right hand, we'll ground down through the left. Again, coming onto the ball of the right, that ball of the foot will be in line with the left heel. Thinking nice straight arm as you get deep into that left hamstring, maybe being gentle if we're working with any sort of injuries or modifications here. And just a real slight bend in that left knee so we're not hyperextending it. And then thinking nice, straight, long spine. Nice. Looking awesome. Yeah, and if we find ourselves a little off balance, giving ourselves a little giggle, getting right back into it whenever you're ready, gather yourself. A little breath there. Feeling solid? Awesome. All right, we're now gonna introduce 360s, option to add a ballistic squat. If 360s are already a part of your practice, feel free to just get to swinging. For those that want a refresher on the fundamentals, I recommend choking up on your mace if you're new to 360s. And what this will look like is you're just gonna draw a halo around your head, a nice big circle. So let's take it real slow. Again, if you know how to do 360s, feel free to just swing them out. But if you're new to this, it'll look like block, where you're blocking a strike of someone coming to your head. Block, then you're dumping the mace behind the head, and then finishing that circle around the head and pulling it through the opposite shoulder. So there's three pieces to it: block, then you're dumping it, kind of like you want to scratch your lower back with your tool, and then you're pulling it over the opposite shoulder. It might feel a little robotic at first, especially if this is a new movement for you. Even if you've done 1,000 reps, at times it can still feel a little robotic. But with time, it'll start becoming a little bit more fluid of a motion. I'd say big things to focus on is keeping the mace nice and tight in towards your body. If you were to imagine I'm in a really skinny hallway here or between two panes of glass, I could still perform a 360 because it's staying in nice and tight towards the body. Whereas if you start letting it get out and away from you, that's when things get wild and crazy. So let's think block, then dumping it behind, maybe scratching your lower back with that mace, maybe even playing with a little bit of swing in there, seeing how that feels, and then pulling it through the opposite side. If you're new to 360s, I want you to stay just right here, repping that, seeing how that feels. If this is comfortable for you, you could maybe practice your ballistic squats, switching sides with each rep, just adjusting to whatever level you're at. If you've been staying on one side this whole time, let's go ahead and swap hands. And there's really no right or wrong way to which way you go here, just making sure you're consistent with it. So if you just took a bunch of reps going over your left shoulder, let's maybe take some reps going over your right shoulder, and maybe noticing the difference there. We tend to have one side that we prefer and feels a little more natural than the other side. You'll be like, whew, didn't know, didn't know that about myself. So that's what's great about these tools. A little bit of self-exploration. Nice, Maria, looking really solid. Loving it. Nice, big, beautiful swings, Margot. Jess is flowing, he's into it. And yeah, these are something that just repetition is the only solution, to be honest. You know, it's gonna feel funky, but just playing around with the tool, getting comfortable with having it in your hands, that's where we'll start seeing the progress there. So, yeah. So RDL, we're gonna keep it at prayer and do an RDL like that for just the Warrior 3 RDL. Then the front swing RDL will look like this. So it'll be front swing to order, but typically our front swing to order, we're doing the full hip hinge, little bit of knee bend. This one, we're keeping just a micro bend in the straight leg and letting that momentum of the globe pull us back into that RDL. Yeah, you feel that load on the left hamstring there? Nice. Well, heck yeah. I say we get some more upbeat music going and we get into flowing. Feel free to grab any sips of water, any breath you might need. We're gonna do 90 seconds of work with 30 seconds of rest each round. So pace yourselves. We got about 20 minutes of work. Don't need to go all gung-ho right off the bat. Just find a pace that works for you. Let's get after it. We're beginning with front swings. Go ahead and begin on your left side. We'll begin in order position. Then begin. We're just working the fundamentals of the front swing here. I want to really see that hip snap. Want to over exaggerate it like you're sending those hip bones forward. This really isn't an arm exercise, it's a hip exercise. We're working that hip snap, driving into those heels. Nice. Standing nice and tall at the top of each rep, then letting that natural momentum of your tool pull you back into that hip hinge. Nice. Looking really solid. I'd say try to let your head come down to the ground so we're not cranking that head back. Nice, Margot. Looking real solid. Excellent work, Rex. Then keeping it flowing. Go ahead and swap sides. Passing right out in front and getting right out into it. Maybe finding that power breath wherever it serves you. Checking in on those cheater fingers. Nice full grip affirmation. I know Jess ain't ever using cheater fingers no more. He's got it dialed. Called them out one too many times. Now he's got the grip down. Excellent work, everybody. Almost pretending we're getting ready to jump up as tall as we can. Really driving into those heels. Then if at any point you need to slow down the pace or take a little breather, always taking that option. But I invite you to find a way to match the movement with the breath. Kind of just get into the flow with things and time. Just like that, 90 seconds done. Excellent work, everybody. We could either meet in an under over grip, we can meet at prayer. And then if you'd like to join me in a nice deep breath, go ahead and exhale everything out. Then inhale through the nose. Pause. Then ground down through the heels as you add a little bounce there. We'll meet with the Mace in prayer. Nice straight right leg, come onto the ball of your left foot. Find warrior 3 RDL as you send the hips back in space. Keeping a nice flat back, then squeezing those glutes on at the top of your rep. Finding that power breath wherever you're exerting a lot of work and you feel like it serves you. That, then inhale. Don't even have to think about it, just finding that spot where the breath feels intuitive and natural. Then yeah, maybe finding that level 2 variation. If we want to go lift that leg off, coming in a full expression of warrior 3. A big key is moving slow and with control. It doesn't matter if you do 20 real sloppy reps, that's not going to serve you as good as 3 high quality ones. Let's all switch sides, grounding down through the right leg, coming onto the ball of the left, or whatever side you weren't on. I might have confused you there. Just switch sides. Then again, moving slow and controlled, maximizing that time under tension. We're not just here to move chaotically through the practice, but rather with intention, with control, knowing that it's honestly a whole lot harder when we're maximizing that time under tension rather than just cranking them out. Looking really solid, everybody. Feeling that nice burn in the hamstring. And thinking about that rope yanking us back in space and time. Excellent work. Feel free, you can maybe pace around the mat a little bit, add a little bounce, whatever you need to cool down. If you want to find some 360s, you're crazy. But go ahead and do it anyways. Then we'll take a nice round of breath. Big inhale. Pause and we'll go ahead and meet with front swing to order. Let's meet in this order position. Go ahead and begin. Cast that mace away. Nice straight arm. And then gluing that elbow into the rib. Finding that power breath wherever it serves you. Allowing those hips to travel back in space. Nice deep bend in the knees here. Then being explosive as you come out of that heel drive. Snapping those hips forward. Looking really solid, everybody. Then just allowing that momentum of your tool to bring you into that hip hinge. Then again, taking any rest or break whenever you might need. I invite you to just keep the body moving one way or another. Nice. Loving that elbow pack. Really seeing you pull that elbow in with authority there, Maria. Everybody swap sides, passing that mace out in front, getting right on into it. Embracing the burn a little bit. Glutes are going to be feeling it tomorrow. I promise you that. Excellent work, everybody. Keep it flowing. 30 more seconds here. Thinking nice straight spine. Try not to crank your head onto the horizon, but rather letting your gaze come down towards the ground. Still think about lengthening through the crown of the head, though. We're not just rounding through the spine, but rather we're thinking nice long alignment from the crown of your head to the tip of your tailbone. And time. Whew. Excellent work, everybody. Maybe bounce it out. Take a round of breath or some water, whatever you might need. If you'd like to join me in a round of breath, go ahead and exhale out. Then big inhale through the nose. Expand the ribs and pause. Then ground down through the heels as you. Next, we've got front swing 2 warrior 3 RDL. So we'll begin ground down through your right leg, mace in the left hand. Come onto the ball of your left foot and begin allowing that front swing to bring you into that deep hip hinge, really loading that right hamstring. Thinking just a slight bend in that right knee. Awesome work. Looking really solid, everybody. Excellent work. Maybe lifting off that back leg if that's calling to us. Whew, looking really solid. Never pushing ourselves past your comfortable limit. While there may be a little failure here and there, we want to feel that sense of accomplishment. We want to be in that state where something's hard, but not so hard that we can't achieve it. Let's find that nice balance wherever you're at. Then everybody swap sides, bringing the mace into the right hand, ground down through your left leg, and keep it flowing. Find that power breath wherever it might serve you. Excellent work. Nice. Looking really solid. Allowing yourself to use this order position as a moment to ground, as a moment to reset. If you feel like things are moving too fast at a pace that your mind can't quite keep up with, use this moment to gather your breath, then get right back on into it. Excellent work, everybody. Almost done with the 4th round. Getting after it today. And time. Whew. Already 4/10 of the way done with the conditioning round. For some reason to me, that just feels like we're already almost done. Y'all are rocking it. Let's go and take a nice round of breath. Big inhale. Pause and then we get to have some fun with some 360s this next round. That hardly even counts as a round of exercise. So let's go ahead and meet in prayer. Think about standing nice and tall in your posture, anchoring down through those feet. Then drawing that nice circle around the head as you block, dump, and then pull it through that opposite shoulder. Block, dump, pull. If you find yourself pulling it too early, it's gonna make your work just a little bit harder. But rather, if you let that globe get to the height of the swing on the other side before pulling through, that might feel a little bit more fluid. And go ahead and keep it rocking. Elbows nice and wide. Tool in tight towards the body. Maybe finding a ballistic squat if that's calling to you. But honestly, those glutes are getting plenty of work. If you just want to hang out in 360, I invite you to do so. Opposite hand on top. Let's switch grips. Then go ahead and keep it flowing. When you reach behind your head, we want to see a nice deep elbow bend. And maybe even just play around with this pendulum here. Play with rocking back and forth, allowing yourself to get a nice deep bend in the elbows. And notice how there is a little dip in my hips. That'll kind of help you pull that mace through the opposite side. Nice, Margot, looking really solid. I'd say maybe try to lift the hands up just a tad higher. That might help it clear the head a little bit more. Nice, looking really solid. Awesome, Maria. Then pulling it right back down in front here. Yep, there we go. Awesome. Yeah, great job, everybody. We'll go ahead and rest. Kind of like how with the front swing the order, we think about planting that flag here. Same thing, we're coming through and planting that flag, finding this elbow to rib connection before getting on to the next rep. So feel free to grab a little breath, little water, whatever you need. We got one more round, or I should say we got 5 more rounds. We got one more whole series. Let's go ahead and begin with front swings, mace in the left hand. Go ahead and begin casting that mace nice and straight. And then here we're just finding front swings, so nice straight arm. Thinking about that tool just being a nice extension of your arm. Maybe playing with one in each hand. Nice. Love it, Rex. Yeah, feeling free to have fun. Take whatever movements are calling to you here. Whatever you're doing, I want to make sure you're having fun and you're feeling good. I want to make sure you're burning a little bit too, but most importantly, we're having fun out here. Let's go ahead and keep it flowing. Few more seconds on this side. Awesome job. Then everybody go ahead and switch. Nice smooth transition. Passing that mace right out in front. Finding that hip snap. So you really drive into those heels. Your body's gotten plenty used to this movement by now. So now just letting yourself get into the music, get into the movement, and flow for these final 30 seconds. Maybe finding that power breath wherever it serves you. If you start getting a little too fatigued, you can always choke up on the mace, creating a little bit shorter lever. That'll help decrease the intensity of the exercise a little bit. Awesome job, everybody. Go and keep it flowing. 5 more seconds on this side. Last couple reps. Working those fundamentals. And time. Whew. Excellent work, everybody. I'd say on these ones, really focusing on not letting that head crank up, but rather we're just keeping a nice straight spine, nice length from the crown of the head all the way down to the tip of that tailbone, not wanting to shorten that space there. So just keeping that in mind as we revisit the front swings here in a little bit. Next, we've got Warrior 3 RDL, so we'll meet in prayer. Go ahead and ring out that mace. Come onto the tiptoe of one of your feet, doesn't really matter which one. Then the leg that is grounded, you're gonna keep a nice straight leg with just a micro bend in the knee. And same idea here, think about a nice long spine. You got somebody behind you yanking your tailbone with a rope while simultaneously having me in front with a rope yanking on your head. Nice decompression of the spine. Looking awesome and controlled, loving it, Rex. And yeah, maybe hanging out and embracing that burn for a little bit. Maybe we're hanging out, maximizing that time under tension. Again, just 2, 3, maybe 4 high quality reps. Gonna serve you a whole lot more than a bunch of sloppy reps. Let's go ahead and swap your feet, swap your hand grip, opposite hand on top, and then go ahead, keep on getting after it. Let's keep flowing. Find that nice forceful exhale wherever it might serve you. And just taking this moment to keep moving. Taking this time to explore. Excellent work, everybody. Thinking about actively wringing out that mace, establishing that shoulder pack. Moving nice and slow with intention. Last 5 seconds here. Making these the best 5 seconds yet. And time. Whew. Just like that, 7/10 of the way there. You see how that happened? Just like that? Just like that. 3 more rounds. Excellent work, everybody. Feel free to bounce it out. Maybe take a round of breath. If you'd like to join me, we'll exhale out. Then big inhale through the nose. Pause and ground down through the heels as you. All right, front swing to order. Let's meet Mace in the left hand. Go ahead and begin. Cast the mace, nice straight on. Then pulling that elbow into the rib. Go and keep it flowing, nice flat back. Remember allowing that gaze to come down to the ground. Imagine someone pulling that tailbone back in space. Excellent work. Then with these ones, we'll find a little bit more bend in the knees. We're not quite straight legging it like the RDL. Go ahead and allow yourself to have a little bit of bend in the knees here. Not quite a full squat, but we're getting into a partial squat there. Most important part, keeping that nice straight spine. and then glue in that elbow into the ribs at the top of each rep. One more rep on this side, then we'll all go ahead and pass right out in front, getting right on into it on the other side. If at any point you need to pause, take a breather, any movements that might be calling to you, feel free to do so. I invite you to keep flowing, keep moving in whatever way is feeling good for you. Awesome job. Then as we pull that elbow into the rib, let's try to lower that forearm just slightly. That'll really help develop some of that forearm and wrist strength for you there. Awesome work, Maria. Looking solid, loving it. Gluing that elbow into the rib with some authority. Loving the focus, Jess. Last couple reps here, finishing strong. And time. Excellent work, everybody. Totally rocking it. Let's go ahead and take a round of breath if you need. You can meet me in an exhale out. Then inhale through the nose. Pause and bounce as you. Excellent work, everybody. Setting up for front swing to Warrior 3 RDL. Mace in your left hand or club. Ground down through the right leg, slight bend in the knee. Go ahead and begin. Cast that mace away as you find that hip hinge, really adding a lot of load onto that right hamstring. Then option to lift the left leg if that's calling to you. Taking that moment to re-ground at the top of the rep before getting into the next one, making sure we're moving with control, never moving faster than your attention allows. Awesome work, everybody. Looking so solid. Loving it. Just getting after it. Yeah, Jess, I'm loving it. That's the more advanced variation. Jess is crushing it. Just not even coming to order, but rather just letting it flow. Loving it there. So feel free to take that option if you're wanting to really pick up the pace a little. Then everybody swap sides, passing it. And then, yeah, maybe just keeping that front swing going if we're really wanting to get that burn, wanting to get that heart rate up. Or if you feel like you need that moment to regather, feel free to come on into that order position, gluing elbow into ribs. Again, we're all at different levels, different stages of our practice. So taking whatever movements feel smooth and intuitive to you. Never pushing past those too uncomfortable limits, but we're looking to create some change. We're looking to add some of that stress to the body here. Awesome work. 5 more seconds. Finishing strong and time. Excellent job, everybody. Feel free to maybe chug it out, whatever you might be needing here. Take a nice round of breath. Big inhale through the nose. Pause and. All right, final round. We're going to find some 360s. I'm going to go ahead and let y'all flow for a little extra while longer on this final round. So if there's anything you want to use from today's practice, feel free to incorporate it. Or if you want to pull any other tools out of your toolbox, feel free to do so. I'm going to stay up here 316 for anyone that wants that demonstration. But feel free to make these final few minutes your own. We're going to let you go for 3 minutes here. So find a place that you feel like you could keep moving for the 3 minutes. Finding that block dump pull. Thinking about standing nice and tall in your 360. Nice, Maria, finding that, planting that flag down, loving it. Looking really solid, everybody. And then seeing how far behind you can you reach that tool. We're going to hear the gong, but I want you to stay on this side. We're 45 seconds in. That's 1/4 of the way there. Go ahead, keep it flowing, maybe getting in sync with that music. No, there's not exactly a beat right now, but there will be in just a moment. I think the song's changing. Keep it flowing. Excellent work, everybody. Rocking it. Finding any movements that feel intuitive to you. Maybe swinging the tool around, finding some side swings. If you've been a part of that practice and remember the side swings and want to work on that, go ahead and take that option to do so. Or if you really want to master those 360s, now's such a great chance to do so. Then everybody go ahead and swap your grips, swap your sides. We're halfway there, 1.5 minutes in. And feeling free to take any movements that feel intuitive to you for this final minute and a half. We finish strong here. Excellent work, everybody. Looking rock solid, loving the big drop swings. We're seeing some front swings. Maybe adding in that RDL, whatever's calling to ya. Looking really solid, loving it. Nice. When we get that club behind you, let's see if we can really reach it back there. Find that 360 where we're almost scratching our lower back with that tool. We got 45 more seconds left to finish strong. Nice. Looking so epic, everybody. Just keep on flowing. Thirty more seconds here. Good. Keep it going. Yeah. How to get the lit playlist. I knew you were coming in today, Jess. Final reps here. And time. We'll go ahead and set our tools down. We'll bring peace fingers beneath the jaw, maybe pace around the mat a little bit. We'll get a little pulse check before we start cooling it down. Go ahead in 3, 2, 1, start counting. Maybe pace around the mat, signaling to the body that it's time to cool it down. Go ahead, keep on counting for another 3, 2, 1, and time. Now, whatever number you're at, go ahead and multiply that by 4. That'll be your heart rate for the minute. We just counted for 15 seconds. Then if you have any questions about what your max heart rate would be or what heart rate zone you might have been in for today's class, I'd be happy to chit chat with you after class. For now, we're going to go ahead and cool it down. So I'm going to go ahead and get some more chill tunes going now. Then let's all go ahead and meet down in a pigeon pose, however you'd like to get there, whether you'd like to take a vinyasa flow, or if you just want to forward fold and step back with your left leg, heel toe that right foot behind the left wrist, and go ahead and hang out in pigeon, maybe up on your hands or lowering to the forearms, or maybe even melting into your chest if that's calling to you. If pigeon just feels a little cranky for you, always can go ahead and roll onto the back and meet in a figure 4 position, crossing that ankle over the thigh. Really, whatever variation feels nice and juicy in that outer hip. And find a position that you could relax into for maybe even a couple minutes if you needed to. If you're sitting here just waiting for me to tell you to switch sides, and that's probably a sign that you're a little too deep, let's go ahead and ease into it. Find a nice, relaxing posture as we start to actively cool the body down. Built a lot of heat during this practice, so make sure we ain't gonna send you out of here too wound up. Letting the heart rate cool down here. Breathing into any areas that are feeling extra sensational. Wherever you're feeling that stretch, just send your breath and awareness towards it. And no need to fight it, rather just listening, staying in tune with your body here, moving in a slow, gentle manner as we cool it down. Go ahead and stay for one more round of breath here. And then wherever you're at, you'll slowly press your way on up. I kind of like to take a 3-legged dog. I kind of find that feels good. But if you'd like to just switch to the other side, feel free to do so. Bringing that left knee behind the left wrist, left ankle behind the right. If you find pigeon on the other side, or possibly finding figure 4. Even if you found pigeon on the other side, maybe this hip's a little extra cranky. So just meeting your body where it's at, not forcing yourself to be completely symmetrical. It's quite rare that that is the case. Just noticing any differences between the two sides. Being gentle with yourself as you breathe into those areas that are feeling sensational. Help promoting some relaxation as you take nice, expansive, deep breaths. feel the ribs open up. Then squeeze all that air out as you exhale, belly button into the spine. Go ahead and stay for a couple more rounds of breath here. Taking a moment to explore those areas of sensation, any areas feeling tight, and see if we could let it go. Excellent, excellent work, everybody. Then if you're in a figure four, go ahead and just sit up into a seated position. If you're in pigeon, go ahead and press your way up onto the hands, maybe finding that three-legged dog if that's calling to you. And then coming through high plank, crossing the legs as you come through to a seated position. And we'll let both legs extend out long in front, coming into a seated forward fold. Toes flex up towards the knees. Inhale, nice long spine, arm circle sweep up overhead. Then exhale, hinge forward. Feeling a nice deep stretch, maybe into the lower back. Getting into the hamstrings, maybe even feeling in the calves a little bit. Being gentle with yourself, maybe taking a little bend in the knees if that feels helpful for you. And just grabbing onto whatever you can and maybe gently pulling yourself deeper into the stretch if that's calling to you. If you're just fine where you're at, then just breathe and hang out there. Your posture is going to look different than the person to the left and right of you. It's going to look different than me. That's what's so great about these bodies. We're all so unique. We still come together, share this practice together. Taking those nice expansive inhales. We actively bring the heart rate down. Go and stay for another round of breath here. Then slowly, one vertebrae at a time, inhale your way on up. Find a bend in the knees, feet come flat on the ground. You slowly make your way onto your back, maybe giving yourself a big hug with your knees in towards your chest once you get there. I'll go ahead and come turn off these overhead lights so I'm not blinding you. Then find a spinal twist, hugging that right knee in towards the body. Let the left leg extend out long. Then bring that right knee across the body with the left hand. Bring your gaze over your right shoulder as the right fingertips extend out long. Being gentle with yourself here. You don't need to crank that knee all the way down to the ground. Just finding a nice, comfortable stretch. And I find in these spinal twists, those expansive breaths feel extra yummy. So really fill those ribs up with air. And squeeze all that air out, belly button to spine on the exhale. Go ahead and stay for another couple rounds. You deepen your relaxation in this posture. And go ahead and gently, slowly unwind, hugging both knees in towards the chest. Let the right leg extend out long. Pull the left knee across the body, bringing the gaze over that left shoulder. Maybe noticing some differences on the two sides. Really breathing into that lower back, breathing into the ribs. If you find yourself fighting the posture, fighting against the tension, try to find some ease. Try to find some giggles over there, it seems like. We got some... We're here having fun. Just reconnecting with that. Well, it's a empowering warrior practice, swinging this mace around. It's also just fun to have a new tool in our hands. This ancient weapon that's been used for thousands of years, bringing it into the modern day, getting a nice hit workout out with it. And go ahead, gently unwind, taking any final movements your body might need before allowing yourself to melt into the mat beneath you, coming into corpse pose or shavasana, your final resting posture for today's practice. Just allow gravity to weigh extra heavy on you here. Try to get out of the mind and more into the body, not letting any thoughts start racing, but rather maybe noticing any sensations in the body that are coming up, or maybe reflecting back on any sensations throughout today's practice, or you maybe felt that sense of empowerment. Maybe you felt that sense of challenge and difficulty, and just noticing how it felt to do hard things, to push your body in ways you maybe haven't pushed yourself before, and now reaping the benefit of it. Maybe feeling a little bit of an enhanced creativity in those moments of flow, seeing how you can integrate some of this flow in the rest of your day to day. Those moments where you're being challenged and stimulated, but it's fun. It's not too hard and frustrating. Just that right level of effort and challenge. And whenever you're feeling complete, go ahead and roll onto either side of your body, pressing your way up to a seated meditative position. No rush to get here. Awesome job today, everybody. Absolutely rocked it. I appreciate y'all for making it through the snow to be here, taking time out of your day to come practice with me. Look forward to sharing it with y'all again soon. Namaste. Whew. I got some spray bottles. They're honestly a little low on cleaning solutions, so they're a little hard to spray. But if you wouldn't mind wiping down your mats, I would appreciate it. Excellent job today, everybody. Yeah, thank you for joining. Oh, yep. Voila. I find holding the bottles directly straight up is usually the key to kind of getting them, especially when there's not a lot left. Voila. Thank you. And yeah, if you have any questions or any feedback or anything, I'm always happy to hear. Go ahead and